Welcome to episode 222. This is continuation of the story of the Lafayette film that I shot in France and the United States. After they took the film from me, they paid for it, the images, and took it to California to a very famous film editor. I thought I was out of the project, right? And so that was the end of it for me. But not really, because what happened was I got a call after a while, and they said, well, Derek, can you come to California and help us? We're having trouble editing the film. And I went, okay, I will come, but you'll have to pay me. And so they said, okay, come on. So I got on I got some money from them, and I got on a plane, and I went to Los Angeles, and I met with the editor, and he had an editing room in MGM studio, and he was a very well-known guy, and he's very nice. And I sat down with him in the editing room, which was interesting because it's actually a bank vault, and you open the steel doors and you go into the editing room. And I asked him, I said, why is that? And he said, well, in the old days of nitrate film, the film could explode, and so only the editor would die. The door was shut. And I went, oh, great. So this was his editing room at MGM, but he was at MGM Studios. And his name was George. I'm not going to go any further. If he wants to get on here and talk, he's welcome to add to this conversation. And I said, well, what's the problem, George? And he said, well, the problem is I edit the film, and then the next day, and I come back to do more work, it's changed. And I said, well, how can that happen? You're the editor. He says, well, that's my question. Can you talk to them and ask them why this is happening? And I said, well, okay, I'll call him. So I called him and I talked to him. I said, listen, the editor says the film is changing when he edits it during the day. And they said, well, that's because we want to go twice as fast. So we hired 2 editors. I said, what? They said, yeah, we got a guy working on it at night also. And I said, did you tell George? And they said, well, no, he doesn't need to know that. And I said, yes, he does, because the editor is the one in charge of editing the film. Hello? And so I called George back. I said, George, they've got another guy working on the film at night. That's what's happening to you. And George said, well, I'm going to quit then. I can't do that. You know, I'm in charge of the film, period. And they needed to tell me. And I said, look, I talked to them, and they said they'll fire the guy that's working on it at night, and you will be the only editor. And George said, okay, well, in that case, I'll go forward. And I said, okay, great. So that was the problem. And then I went back and I talked to the people, and they had me in a nice house in Bel Air, beautiful mansion and all, you know, and all this. And so then I solved the problem, and then I got some more money, and I got on a plane. I went back to my work, you know, and forgot about it. I'm still out of the project. George is in charge of the editing, right? And that's fine with me. Yes, so I have my nice cup of coffee here, and I'm relaxing. And yeah, and George is a great guy, no problem. And so I went back to my work and forgot about the film and assumed it was progressing. But that's not the end of the story. It continues, and that's going to be in the next chapter when I finally saw the film. It was projected at the Rice Media Center in Houston. That's where it was the opening of the film. And I'll tell you about that in the next chapter, what happened there. Very interesting. 6 p.m. Friday, January 30th, 2026. This is the end of episode 222. Corporate sponsor is Synostics.com. Bruce Badeau at Outlook.com has all the details on the device. For more information on Synostics.com and its heart partner device that speaks directly to your brain to contract the muscles that move the fluids in your lower legs back up to your heart to reduce your blood pressure and improve your cognitive ability, click on the links in the description below. To see a video demonstration of the device in action by the inventor Ken, go to YouTube and click on the INTAG 67 above.